Hi, my name is Michelle Adams. I am an acrobatics and yoga instructor, and I'm here with the Desire Company. I am giving the fundamentals of building a handstand, but also I don't want you to avoid this because of that. You don't have to do the last section. It is also extremely beneficial for people who are looking for some good core strength, who need a little more time working on their joint mobility, their wrist mobility. It's really beneficial in many ways. So it can be a practice, a rehab, a prehab, whatever you need, and you can choose which parts suit you and fit you today. You do not need a lot for this lesson, but some things that you can have on hand to help out a little bit is a mat. I'm right now using Deguria's mat. I have these awesome shorts on. These are my booty shorts, amazing and great for going upside down. I got my Yoloha cork block, which is nice and firm. It'll help you when it comes to balancing. And the last thing I have is my wonderful strap here, which is Hey. Any yoga strap you have works. If you have a rod, that works too, or even a band. Any of those things will do for this. Okay, we're gonna start today by doing shoulder rolls using one shoulder at a time. So we're gonna work with our right shoulder first, and I want you to make these really dramatic. So we're bringing it all the way forwards, all the way back. And then switching directions, going forwards. If you find any tightness in any areas, you can always pause this video and stay here for a little bit longer. And switching to the other arm. Big dramatic movements. Try to get that shoulder all the way up to your ear, getting your shoulder ready. And switching to the other direction. Good. The next thing we move on to is same thing, but we're doing both shoulders at the same time, and we're making it really dramatic and pausing in each spot. So we go forwards, hold, up, hold, back and up, hold, and then pulling your scaps together in the back. Forwards, ears, back, drop. Forwards, ears, back, drop. Forwards, ears, back, and drop. Good. So we're gonna take our hands, opening them up to the side, pull those hands open nice and wide, keep those fingertips spread out wide, and you're gonna pull those hands back, bring those scaps in, pulling back for a 1, 2, give yourself a hug. Open, 1, 2, other arm on top. 1, 2, and switch. Open, open, switch. Try to take your arms back as far as you can, keeping control and keeping good form though at the same time. Good, bring your hands out in front, rolling your wrists. Try to keep your arms nice and straight. So that way we're still working other areas. We're holding them out in front. We're getting our body nice and warm, our joints warmed up before we work them all a little bit more. Good. Next one that we're gonna do, you're gonna make sure that you can bend forwards, have enough room to extend your arms out in front. You're gonna bend forwards. You can bend your knees a little bit if you need to. You wanna make sure that you're keeping your spine straight. Looking straight down below you, you're gonna be pulling with your thumbs up towards the sky and pulling your scaps down your back. Lowering your arms and pulling it back up. Make sure you're really trying to squeeze your scaps together in the back, pull them together. Get those thumbs up to the sky as far as you can. Don't let your back or your upper body slouch, so we want to keep that nice straight line. Rolling your tailbone up towards the sky. Good. Placing your hands on the mat. If you can't keep your knees straight, that's okay. You can bend them, and all we're gonna do is squat and try to straighten as far as you can. See if you can take it a little bit deeper every time. And try to pull that lower belly all the way into your legs. Walking your hands out into downward dog, keeping your hands spread out, shoulder width apart, fingers spread wide. We're just going from downward dog, leaning over hands into our plank. Downward dog, and leaning. Doing 3 more. Lean over, stretch out those wrists, and push it back. 2 more. Going all the way up on your toes, leaning as far as you can. And last one. Go ahead, shake it all out. And that's our warm up. So we're gonna go into our joint work. So we're gonna do shoulders first, and then we're gonna work on our wrists afterwards. So you can go down on your knees. There's a couple options for how you're gonna do the first stretch. We're doing puppy dog stretch, and I want them raised a little bit so that way you can get a little deeper into the shoulders and hit it from a different angle. One option is that you use your blocks. You put the blocks out in front, placing your hands onto the blocks, and then you're trying to pull your armpits down into the ground. Another option is you take your chair if you have one available, which is something you might want, or a wall nearby, and then you're placing your palms on the chair and dropping your shoulders, bringing your gaze down or your chin into your chest and trying to let your armpits come down as far as you can. Remember to keep using your breath to drop a little deeper into these stretches. And all these stretches are helping you get into a nicer line to have better form when you're upside down. Good, working your way up. We're gonna do our puppy dog stretch on the ground, but we're gonna work on one side at a time, so opening the sides of our shoulders. So I bring my hands out into my puppy dog, and then I lean over to the side of my right arm. Take my left arm in front, and now I'm pushing my shoulder down into the ground to get my side of my shoulder and my side body. And switching it out, take your left arm in front, right hand in front, leaning onto the side of your left arm, dropping that side armpit down, and using the right to take it a little bit further. Good, releasing and grabbing your strap or your bungee or whatever you have nearby. Taking a little bit wider than your shoulder width or even wider, depending. You'll feel it out when you start going. You're gonna start just making rotations. So you're gonna go all the way behind and back forwards. You can start wide. If that feels good, bring it a little bit further. And we're just going over and back about 10 times. All of these things can be done a little bit longer, like I said before. We're just doing a nice quick mobility, joint opening that you can take with you and use whenever you want or wherever you feel stiffness. Try to keep your body tight so you're not waving or anything. You want to make sure that your core stays super tight the entire time. So it's primarily only in your shoulders. And making your way down to the ground, using your strap or block. Take your hands about shoulder width apart, and you're gonna bring your forehead to the ground, and we're lifting our arms up with our thumbs raised up. So my thumbs are raised up, my forehead's to the ground, pulling it up. So it's just like what we did before when we were standing, you're pulling the scaps together. Lift up and hold. Up. We're gonna do about 10 of these. And then taking the strap behind us. Our last one for our shoulders for right now, and then we're gonna go into our wrist. So with the strap behind us, you're gonna grab it about shoulder width apart or a little further, and you're pulling your arms back, pulling your scaps together, and then placing your forehead down while you're lifting your arms up as far as you can comfortably. So my forehead's down, pull my arms up, and bringing it down. We're gonna do about 10 of these. Good, bring that strap over to the side. We don't need it anymore. And we're gonna start warming up our wrists. So taking a tabletop position, fingertips are forward, shoulder width apart, knees hip width apart, and we're just gonna start rocking forwards and back. Leaning forwards as far as you can comfortably. Our wrists take a lot of impact in our handstand, so we want to make sure that we have them really warmed up. Same with our shoulders. Every time, try to go a little bit further. Maybe stay out a little bit longer while you're leaning. And then going side to side. Getting ready to shifting your weight. Feeling the weight in different parts of your hands. And then take your hands and flip them upside down, going to the back side of your hands. So if you feel your elbows are bent, that's okay. Just work on trying to straighten them. If you can straighten your elbows, then start working on sitting back. This is a really nice stretch on your wrists and an area that we a lot of times don't get to stretch out so well. So this is a nice moment to sit back into it. Good. Shake your wrists out. And then taking your hands, turn one of your hands in. I'm taking my right hand in right now, my left hand on top, and I'm putting it right at the wrist crease. I use that hand to push down. I push down firmly onto my right hand, and now I square myself in front of it, and I just start making big circles. Continue pushing through your left hand. Put that weight into it so that way your hand's staying down flat and you can get more access into that wrist. And go the other direction. Good, other hand, left hand's turned in. Taking my right hand, putting it right at the crease of my left wrist, putting all that weight down on it, and now starting to make big rotations over that hand. And the other direction. Good. Kneeling, we're gonna take our hands up to the sky and we're gonna make our wrists work a little bit. So bring your arms up as high as you can, up by your ears, keep your arms super straight, and we're opening and closing our hands. Just opening and closing really quick. It feels really easy in the beginning, then all of a sudden it feels like my hands don't work anymore. So bear with me, stay up there, and when you feel like your hands are no longer doing what they're supposed to, keep going. It's a nice burner for the wrists. Get them nice and strong. Good, shake them out. So taking your hands underneath your shoulders, we can be in tabletop, or you can walk your legs out a little bit further depending how confident you feel. You're gonna take your hands nice and wide, and you're pressing through your fingertips and your thumbs. So we're doing fingertip push-ups. You can scoot your legs out a little bit to make it a little bit harder, putting more weight onto your hands. And if you feel really good, you can even go up onto your feet, taking it as far as you feel comfortable. If this is all really hard, you can stand up and go against a wall. And we're gonna do this about 20 times. We're at about 6. If it's getting hard and your form's going, you can always walk your knees back in. And then this is gonna be our last wrist exercise. And we're going into our core and our shaping work. So that way we have beautiful handstands when we go upside down. And let's do 2 more. 1, 2. Awesome. Moving on to our core work. You can use a block or a strap or a bungee. And we're gonna use this to keep our hands about shoulder width apart. So that way you have something to press against or hold right there. You're gonna go into a nice tucking position, holding it in front of your legs. And we're gonna open up, go as far as we can without collapsing, preferably going down to a hollow hold and letting our lower back push into the ground. Going back up and lowering. Up and lowering. We're only gonna do about 10 today, but you can on your own do 20, 30 of these. We're just doing a nice quick overview of everything That's easy to do at any time, as often as you'd like. Good. Setting the block down to the side. If you can, keep your feet up to keep working. And we're gonna go into a V-up position. So our arms are gonna be up by our ears, legs are extended. We lower, bring it back up. Lower, and back up. And 2 more. Good. Going into a hollow hold, which has been the bottom of all of these, you want to make sure that you're really rolling your lower back into the ground. So there should be no space. If there is space, we need to come up a little bit and make it a tad bit easier, so that way we're strengthening in the correct way and we're not hurting ourselves. So what you're going to do is we can start with our toes on the ground, our hands out in front, start rolling your lower back into the ground. And then once you get as far as you can, lifting up one leg and then lifting the other. If that's too much, hover your legs in a tuck position and holding here. If you feel okay there, you can also always bring your arms over your head. So arms here, a little bit of a tuck, or all the way fully extended. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Flipping over into a plank position. So we're doing a similar exercise as when we were pulling our arms up. We're doing a lot of this because this is really important in our handstands. And we're gonna be doing this in a plank. So that way we're working our core, keeping our balance. So your feet can be a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Hands directly underneath your shoulders. And you're gonna lift one arm up as high as you can, but don't turn your core open. Make sure we're staying square to the ground. And switching, lifting your other arm up. And switching. Make sure we're not starting to let our hips drop all over. Keep squeezing your bum, pulling your lower belly in, and pulling those hands up as high as we can. Good. Bring it down, shake it out. We're gonna do one more thing in that plank position. So roll those shoulders out, get it all loose. And then we're gonna meet back in that plank position, and we're gonna be really working on doing a mad cat in it, or working on learning how to push down through the ground to pull our chest in and get our shoulders working. Because when we go upside down, we're pushing down through the ground to get our ears covered by our shoulders. So my hands are shoulder width apart. I'm in my plank position, and then I'm pushing to round into my mad cat and get my shoulders covering my ears. Relax and push. Relax and push. We're gonna do 10 of these. That's 4, 5, 6. Keep pushing as far as you can. Push the ground away. 2 more. Up, round your back, pull your belly in. Good. And relaxing. So now is when we get to start working on getting into a handstand. I have a few different build-ups for the handstand. So the first one we're gonna start with is going from a headstand. So getting comfortable upside down without committing to going on our hands. So we're gonna do a supported headstand. We're gonna take our hands and cross them over so that way we have this to cup our back of our head in. So that way we have a little more protection, all the weight's not on our head, it's a little bit more comfortable, and we can start training using our elbows to push through the ground. So what I can do is I'll put my hands on the ground, measure the distance that I'm shoulder width apart, take my hands, clasp them, bring the back of my head to my hands, and then I can go up on my feet. If that's already a lot, stay there. If you feel okay, walk your feet in a little bit. If you need to bend your knees, that's okay. And if you still feel fine, start lifting up your feet. Pressing through your elbows. And then slowly start making your way up towards a handstand. So we start in a nice little ball, then we find an open tuck, and if we still feel okay, then we work on straightening out our legs. Just getting comfortable with the idea of our body over our head. What does it feel like if I move? Whatever you need so you can start learning how to catch yourself. So we can make big ranges of movement without having to worry about falling. You can keep playing with the up and down, whatever you'd like. Slowly making my way back down. With all of these exercises, you can do these for longer. I suggest you play with them for a while. I'm gonna go through all of them only one time, but please pause it, try it out, keep working on it, and then move on when you feel like you've mastered this or you feel good for today or you're tired. The next exercise that we're gonna use or do, we're gonna use this chair. You can use a chair, you can use a ledge, you can use a wall, whatever you have nearby you. Okay, so you're gonna put your hands about 2 feet out from the chair or wall, whichever surface we're using. They can always start out a little bit further to get more comfortable and you can walk them in. And we're gonna place our feet onto that surface. So I place my feet on, my knees are bent initially, and then I'm gonna start working on straightening out my legs. And ideally, I wanna start trying to get my hips over my hands directly. So I make a straight line from my hands all the way up through my elbow to my shoulders, up to my hips. This is our first position, and you wanna be able to hold it here. You can look between your hands. So tucking your head in, pushing down through the ground like we were in the plank, and trying to look between your hands. You can start with doing this for 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever you feel good with doing. So it's a build-up. Coming down when you're ready. And then we're gonna keep using this chair for a couple of next exercises. The next one that we're doing is the same thing, but we're gonna tuck our knees so we curl into a little ball, and then we extend, getting us used to the motion of getting our shoulders over our hands for when we jump up to a handstand, when we kick up to a handstand, when we press up to a handstand, we know exactly where we're going. So my hands are shoulder width apart. I'm about 2 feet away from the surface. I'm placing my feet up on the chair. I can start by bending my knees. So this is the ball that I was talking about. Then I push through and I get my hips over my head. Lowering and pushing up. If your hands are out here and you're doing it, that's okay. That's okay for the beginning. That's natural and that's gonna be the case. Or if you can get your hands there, but we can only go up about this high because we're tight in our hamstrings, that's okay too. We'll do about 2 more. And 1 more. Good, come on down. Last exercise that we're gonna do is we're gonna be back on our chair or surface, and we're gonna alternate lifting legs. We're only gonna do about 3 on each leg, and then we're gonna start working on trying to float a little bit. So the reason I say float is so that way we're not kicking or we're not pushing off of the surface. I want you to naturally be able to use your muscles so that we can pull it up, and that's gonna give us a better likelihood of landing in a handstand. So it's gentle, there's no push, it's your body actually pulling it up there naturally. So my hands are shoulder width apart again. I've got the right distance away. I'm in my pike position or my letter L. And then I can choose which leg I want to come up to the ceiling first. So you can lift it straight or bend it up and get comfortable with that over your body. See what it feels like for you. And then we're gonna switch, other leg. Lifting it up, feel it out, and switch. 2 more times each leg, switch. Switch. Getting a little more comfortable knowing exactly where it needs to go. And then back to our first leg. So you can take a break if you need to, or start pulling that leg over so your left leg starts lifting, or the one that's on the chair starts lifting off of the chair. And then you can switch. Lifting your other leg, start leaning over your hands. Keep pushing down to the ground. Always trying to grow like a tree, pushing the earth away, and trying to let the other leg float off the chair. And then coming down when you feel good. And that is a foundational kit for a handstand that you can do anytime and almost anywhere that you want to. Thank you so much for following along. Once again, this is a practice that you can take anywhere you want. You can practice anytime. It's short. You can make it as short or as long as you'd like to. Like I was saying throughout the video, if you need a pause and work on something a little bit longer, I highly encourage it. That's the way we're gonna get this handstand. Don't get frustrated, get excited. This is an awesome process and you can do it.